Hey, Joe.
Hey. Ooh.
No,
Dun, 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 dun,
no,
dun.
no, we can't do that anymore.
Oh crap.
We don't have we don't have the rights.
Cool.
I'll tell you
Just
what we
use
do have.
Apple
Wait, go
Music.
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just use like a garage band sound.
Actually, that's a great idea. You pick what this week's theme song is going to be. Tell me what it should be, and I'll put it right here.
I think it should be this song right here. You should just play one of your songs.
I've thought about that as like putting one of my songs. The problem is if it's one that's actually been released, it'll get copyright strike because so I can't put it in.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, I'll put in a cover of one of my own songs.
There you go.
No, I'll put in the terrible steel drum version of Making Sure that I made for Noah. No, actually, what I probably will actually do is just play a spooky little thing on the piano.
Okay. Just so
Put that
spooky little buddy. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, what are we talking about today, Joe?
Today we're talking about scary movies. Yeah. Horses, yeah. Horses are terrifying.
It's for some people.
Yeah, I know that I have a list. Oh God. I know you have some movies you want to talk about. I have some movies I want to talk about because it's October and it's spooky season, and we want to talk about some, horror movies, scary movies of that kind. And I know we've seen probably quite a few this October so far. So let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it, dude. See, so we usually do a couple spooky episodes centered around specific movies that we prepare in advance.
Mhm.
But we're really busy and we don't live together in the same town anymore.
Yeah.
So we didn't prepare anything. But like 2021, we did Censor and Prince of Darkness, maybe, were our Spooktober episodes.
Yeah, was that the John Carpenter movie about the devil being a goo?
Yes.
That movie was cool.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's rad.
And then last year we did Smile and slasher movies.
Yes, and I was not
crazy.
A
It's been you what?
I wasn't. I don't think I was a part of Smile, or at least I didn't talk about it. Maybe you had talked about it.
Oh
Maybe
no, I talked about it with my dad, and you were there in my house, but you left the room.
Yeah. But one of the movies, because I've seen the movies that I really want to talk about today, I will get to, but I have seen a handful of other horror movies on top of that this month so far. Smile being one of them. I finally watched it.
Oh, first time?
First time.
What'd you think?
It was all right.
Yeah, cool.
I feel like that's just my overall. Anytime I watch a movie, I'm either really passive and I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. It's entertaining, or I'm just like hyperly critical and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what exactly they're going for the movie, and then I base it off that metric that I invented, and I just criticize it along with that metric. So I watched Smile. I liked it. It was solid. It wasn't anything crazy. I liked how weird it got at the end. Whenever the demon crawls into her mouth, I was like, "That's cool."
Yeah, that was a really creepy visual.
Yeah.
What I loved is like Smile was like the epitome of a jump scare movie.
Yeah.
But it was done, like it worked. It wasn't stupid jump scares. There was a couple cheap ones, but most of them were like the way you're supposed to do a jump scare, which is you build toward it with tension, you know it's coming, and it's more about waiting to see what happens.
Yeah.
It was well done. But the concept was basically It Follows mixed with Oculus.
Yeah.
And Oculus is way better than either of those movies. But in terms of just like it's messing with your head, you don't know what's real, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I agree. Solid. Nothing extremely special.
Yeah. I'd give it probably like a, I don't know, 38, 37.
Cool.
Another horror movie I watched finally, was, oh crap, Malignant.
Oh, oh,
And
yeah,
it, so hey, you've seen it.
yes. Spoilers for *Malignant*, I
Yeah,
guess.
spoilers for *Malignant*. At the very end of the movie, it gets so comically dumb that it's entertaining. When she, like, the whatever her twin comes out of the back of her head and starts doing kung fu, and so, but you just see her head on the back, like, so her body is moving backwards, fighting people, but you just see her blank, dead stare, because she's not in control anymore. It's dumb. It's
She
really
was
stupid.
literally Professor Quirrell, just freaking killing people
It's yeah,
without the
it
turban. Yeah.
without the turban. That turban would have been cool. But I get what, like, James Wan is the kind of guy to do that. Which, like, that's like a lot of his movies. Um, and you watched Upgrade, right?
No, yes. Is that the
Um,
one with the cool shot where he like comes up like
yeah,
whoop? Yeah, I saw that a long time ago.
yeah. That's like I know he produced that movie, if I'm not wrong, and he a lot of those action sequences were really similar, very like quick, like almost like Matrix style kung fu esque, like, I don't know, it's very quick action, and it fit with that really well. So I know that's like probably what he was
Did
going for.
James
Was,
Wan direct Upgrade?
yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Or if he didn't, he produced it. I might
Because
be
he
wrong.
did, I mean, James Wan did The Conjuring and Insidious and all that, right? That's the same guy I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, and
but
Aquaman. Can't forget Aquaman.
can't. Oh yeah, can't forget Aquaman. Hold on. Let me. I don't like being wrong about stuff. Oh, he also did every Saw movie.
Oh yeah, he's
Um,
a Saw guy. Yeah,
yeah, or at least like was a part of almost all
he
of
did
them.
the first one.
Yeah, he did. Well, he did the first one. He was a producer on the second one and the third one, and the fourth and the fifth and the sixth and 3D. Um, and he was also a producer on Jigsaw, and on Spiral, which was another Saw movie. He directed *Malignant* and produced it and wrote the story.
Yeah,
So that's his movie.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so like I get it. It's like it's just one of those
It was by
very,
far his dumbest movie. Well, I won't say it's his dumbest movie. It was up there.
yeah,
Um, I didn't hate it, but it
yeah,
was like everything that was good about it was the ridiculousness, like the ridiculous concept and the person in the back of her head and the tumor that's a demon and all that stuff. That's pretty fun. That's goofy and fun. But then
yeah.
they didn't capitalize on that. It just ended up, I don't know. It was whack. It was weird.
Um, Never mind. He had no part in Upgrade. Um,
Cool.
Anyways, like there is a campiness to it that I'm like, if that's what they were going for at the very end, I get it because it was really campy, bordering on dumb. But if you didn't know, like I didn't, that it was trying to be campy,
Well,
probably,
that's the
then
thing. It never winks at the audience. It's like Evil
no,
Dead 2 is a campy horror movie and
yeah,
it's perfect. Like, it's clearly like there's no misunderstanding intentions.
yeah,
But I feel like it never capitalized on the campiness. So
yeah, and like it just up until it gets to that point, it's just really dull. Like all the actors, they're bad,
yeah.
and the lighting and
Oh
cinematography
yeah, it
is
looks
bad.
bad. It looks
It looks
terrible.
bad. Um, but
Which
yeah,
is just what horror movies look like now, and it's kind of thanks to James Wan. I mean,
yeah,
that's like what
yeah,
his movies look like.
yeah.
Um, I give it a score.
Uh, Frick, I don't know. 52.
Well, speaking of James Wan, I'm going to talk about James Wong. Do you know who that is?
James Wong?
Yeah. For
No.
about 4 seconds, I thought it was the same person because I watched a horror movie a famous horror movie for the first time this month,
Yeah,
part of the franchise, and saw the director's name pop up. I was like, no way. This movie's made by the guy who made all those movies we just mentioned. It's
yeah.
not. It's a different guy, James Wong, who was a writer and producer for the X-Files. And
Okay.
he went on to make, drumroll please, Final Destination,
Oh,
which is just terrible. I don't really want to talk about it that much, but I did watch the first Final Destination,
yeah.
and it was not the worst horror movie I've ever seen, but it was in the bottom third. And it's another movie that you can't tell how much of the stupid is on purpose and how much of the stupid is on accident. And
Yeah.
I get the feeling some of it was on accident. Although James Wong also made the Dragon Ball movies, so
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
People tend to not like those movies.
There might just be one. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Well,
Anyway, go ahead.
no, you were still talking.
I was just saying Final Destination was goofy without, and not in a redeeming way, and it felt a little cheap, and the plot made no sense. I mean, like it actually did not. It was not a well thought through concept at all.
Yeah.
So, the concept is great. The concept's a fun idea. It was not well thought out, and it was one of those. It had a lot of cliches, but not in a way where it was making fun of cliches.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't. I don't know. I would give it a. Let's see. 77.
Okay, so pretty low.
Pretty low.
I remember watching several of those movies in that series in like middle school, and I don't remember anything about them because I think they weren't really that memorable. There are memorable things about it just because it's like
I
everyday
remember the
stuff.
bathtub. Yeah.
The bathtub. There's I think it's in the second one when they're driving behind a logging truck.
Yeah, I've seen that scene, but I've not seen the second movie.
Yeah, and just like it, whatever, kills everyone. But and so like I know like a lot of people, like my sister and my mom, and just people that have seen that movie. That's what they think of when they see a truck with like a bunch of crap on it.
I still think of that every time.
And like I haven't seen that movie since I was like, I don't know, 10. But yeah, I just don't think they're really. And spoiler alert for all of these movies, but if I'm not wrong, like at the end of it, isn't it like like it was all a vision and then it happens anyways, or something stupid like that?
They thought they broke the curse.
Yeah.
They thought they broke the curse because they like did the thing that they were supposed to do, and then it had been like months later, and they're like in France, and they're sitting around a table, and they're like, "So we broke the curse, we won, 3 of us lived," and then they're like, "But how do we know we broke the curse?" And then one of them gets brutally killed.
Awesome.
Okay, so it's like, okay, the curse wasn't gone; it was just waiting 6 months for no reason. So if there's no time limit on it, then how is it any different than just life? Just knowing you're going to die someday. I don't understand.
Yeah. Nothing changes. The stakes don't change.
Yeah.
You just have somebody that doesn't know anymore who's going to die.
Yeah, it's stupid. And then I think the thing that held it down the most was that the acting was so bad. There was not a good actor in that whole movie, except the girl from Heroes, and even she was bad in that movie. So
yeah.
Anyway, 77.
Right on. Do you want to get to your movies, or do we want to talk about movies real quick?
How do we want to do this?
Quick catch up. I watched The Flash.
Okay, how was that?
48.
Great. Ish. All right.
I liked it more than I didn't. But.
If we do a like an actual catch up episode, I'm gonna have to go through like 40 movies. So I'm not gonna do that. But I will hit some highlights that are horror movies. So I'm just gonna talk about my catch up for horror.
Okay.
So I watched Don't Breathe for the first time, and I don't want to talk about it. Okay. So we're moving on. I did a couple rewatches. I rewatched Oculus. Great movie. 88. Wait, not 88, 12. I was thinking 88%. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, 12. I rewatched Coraline 25. Great movie.
Okay. Yeah. Good movie.
So here's one I do want to talk about a little. I really love Guillermo del Toro. Great director. He's made some good movies. Turns out, I don't know how, let me put it this way. He grew into a great director who made some great movies. I don't know how he ended up as a great director because I don't know how he got so many chances. Because I went back to watch his first few movies.
Yeah.
I watched Mimic last year, and this year I watched Kronos, which is like highly acclaimed. People love it. Not great. Mimic was actually bad. Mimic was really bad. Kronos is just not great. And I keep wondering, like I'm watching this, I'm like, how did they studios keep giving this guy chances? Usually, if you make a mid movie, but it got good reviews. I don't know. Kronos was a cool concept that was kind of lamely executed.
Yeah.
I don't have to go into it, except that the funniest thing about it is the whole movie's in Spanish and it's filmed in Mexico and it's a Mexican movie. And then Ron Perlman is in it for some reason as the one American and just speaks English the whole time. And he's
Yeah.
not explained at all. It's really funny. So that's it. I'm going to give it a 52.
52. Not bad. Not good, but not terrible.
Not the worst it could be. All right, I got a couple others, but I'm going to let you go first and talk about the big stuff you've been watching.
Yeah. I'm not. I want to preface this by saying I'm not done with them yet. But I have been watching through the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and there are some really high highs and also some really bad lows in those movies. Because I've only watched 1 through 5. Forgive me, that I still have 4 more to watch. Um, and I'm going to be real. I watched Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, which I think is number. No, that's number 6. Oh God. I watched that one. I've seen it twice at this point. And I'm going to tell you what, I think I've fallen asleep both times because I think it's so boring. It's probably the worst movie in that franchise.
It's not very it's not very effective if you're falling asleep during a movie about getting killed in your dreams. So,
well, yeah, that's the thing. Those movies change so much about how the rules of that world work.
Oh, it's completely inconsistent.
It's just like, okay, why does dreaming matter? The first one is genuinely really good.
I love the first movie.
It's got it's a great story. I think it's a cool idea. Good execution. And there are some really chilling shots in that movie. But I'm like, that's something that I do think influenced a lot of like horror directors now. Like when she's dreaming in class and she sees her friend in the plastic bag and standing in the hallway.
Oh, that's chilling.
I'm like, that's
also
awesome.
the face through the wall in the bedroom.
The face through the wall in the bedroom. Yeah. And in that hallway scene, she goes out there to check because she's dreaming. She's sleeping in class, so she's having a dream about it. And she goes out into the hallway to find her, and she sees the bag being dragged by an invisible force. And I'm like, I don't know how they pulled that off in like whatever 85.
Oh, it looks great.
It looks incredible. Good movie overall. I'd give it a pretty high. I'd give it like a 29. Like I like it. I think it's a really good movie. The second one,
I've only seen the first one.
Yeah.
I will say, tell me. So I'll let you get there, but I've heard that the fourth one. Is that what's the fourth one called? Is that the
that's the Dream
Master, Dream Children, Dream Squad, the Dream Team? What is it?
It goes Freddy's Revenge, Dream Warriors, Dream Child, Warriors. Dream Master.
Dream Master. Okay, so I think maybe it's either Dream Warriors or Dream Master. I hear people say is actually really good.
Dream Warriors.
I think it's Dream Warriors. Is the good? Is that the one that's good?
Yeah, that one's pretty solid. I also don't know how the canon works in these movies. I truly don't.
I think they don't care.
Yeah, I just don't. And especially since all of them are directed by a different person.
Yeah, these movies were the only way that New Line Cinema made money before Lord of the Rings. This was it. This was how they made money before they got the rights to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. And they were all profitable because horror movies are just
dirt cheap and historically everybody goes to see them.
Yep, and they make money, and they made one of these every year and a half for like 10 years.
Yep. And then they got the rights to Lord of the Rings. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm on
kept
board.
them going. Yeah.
So the second movie, Freddy's Revenge, is meh. It's so mid. The rules change also because he can just take over this dude's body whenever he wants, and just do stuff in the real world whenever he wants. There's one scene where it's just Freddy.
Is he like a sleepwalker?
Yeah, like the dude, it's the same thing. Like the guy's trying to stay up all night and like stay awake because he keeps having these crazy nightmares. And then Freddy's meeting him in the dreams and trying to convince him to kill people for him. And then he's like resisting it, and then he'll just like black out and he'll wake up with like a dead body. And it's like when you see what's happening, it's like Freddy's just there. It's like not even I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't know what the rules are. He just Freddy is present, kills somebody, and then it's back to the kid again. And I'm like, just so he can just pop up whenever he wants. I don't know. 49. Dream Warriors. Solid movie. They bring back the main actress Nancy, who's playing a psychotherapist.
Wait a minute.
There's this group of psychiatric patients, like teenagers, that are all experiencing the same. They're all experiencing Freddy in their dreams, and so they're all trying to like convince the therapist that like, no, he's real. Like we can all see him, and they're like, no, like you're having a group psychosis, and they're like, no, well then why do all these people keep showing up, like showing up dead, that are in this group? And they're like, well, because you guys are just committing suicide. That's just how suicide works. You guys are in psychosis, and you guys end up taking your own lives. And then Nancy comes back, and she's like, no, I understand what they're dealing with because I went through the same thing. And they're like, okay. And so whatever, they saved the day. 30, 36. Dream Child is dumb. It's bad, but also not bad at some parts. There are parts that are so stupid that I'm like, this is just like a bad horror movie and really off the rails and not well, like you said, not winking at the audience. And then some parts that are, and you're like, okay, I guess I'll just keep following along with this.
So, you know the girl who plays Alice in 4 and 5? Lisa Wilcox? I think the first movie she's in is 4.
Yeah. She's the protagonist in 5.
Okay, yes, her. You know, she this year was one of the contestants on MILF Manor.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Yes,
So
I'm not kidding.
She's in that Cody Co video?
Yes.
I'm gonna have
And
to go
she
back and watch
introduces herself on that episode. You can watch it. She introduced herself as, I used to be a Hollywood actress. I was in some movies. They don't even mention like, I was the main character. Like she's just like, I was a Hollywood actress. Kind of went away from that, and now I'm doing this.
What a terrible! That's more of a nightmare.
Way more of a nightmare. Yeah.
Again, this is whenever the movies 3, 4, and 5 are whenever these movies take this weird turn of like there aren't any rules and we're just going to get super weird with how this works.
I think what it is that each one is just like a director showcase. It's like they give it to a new director and he's like, I'm just going to make something cool to demonstrate my talent so that I can have a career. It's like each person who makes one is trying to use it as a career kickstart, you know?
Yeah. That's fair.
So they're just like, I don't care. They don't care about this. It's not like getting a Star Wars movie where you're like, you have rules you got to follow. Although Rian Johnson doesn't, whatever. It doesn't matter anyway. But it's like, it's a franchise where they don't care. And so they're just, the director's just going to be like, I think this would be cool. Let's do this.
Yeah. Patricia Arquette plays the main character in Dream Warriors. And her power is to bring people into her dreams.
Oh.
So like Inception style, they're all a part of the same dream.
Oh, I get you.
And it gets kind of ridiculous because they're like, oh, like we're all in a dream now. Like that's their tactic to beat Freddy is they're all going to team up in the same dream and then, I don't know, beat them up. And they're like, we're in a dream now. Like, what are you like in your dreams? What can you do? And it's like, in my dreams, I can walk. And it's a kid stands up out of his wheelchair.
What, for real?
Yeah.
Bro. Okay.
Um, and then one of them's like, "What do you like in your dreams?" And she's like, "This girl, like this really edgy girl." She's like, "In my dreams, um, I'm I'm bad." And then she's like, has like a mohawk and like switchblades, and I'm like, "Okay, all right, that's I don't get it." And then one of them can do a cartwheel. That's genuine. That's literally what happens. It's stupid. Then, okay, not a bad movie though. It was pretty solid. You get to Dream Child, and they're trying to track down Freddy's origins, and they keep running into the ghost of his mom, who was a nun, and it's very lore heavy. It like you
Okay.
find out what.
No, but oh, never mind. Go ahead. It doesn't matter. I just thought the lore, like Freddy's origin, does it change every movie?
No, they just keep building on it with more absurd stuff.
Because wasn't it like the whole boiler room factory thing? Like that's
Yeah.
why in the first movie, in the dreams, they're always in a boiler room because he like what did he do? He blew up or he got
Um,
blown up. He was bullied and then he got locked in a. I don't remember.
in the first movie, he died because he was a child murderer
Well, that's
and
right. And all the
implicit.
parents tracked him down.
Yeah, he was an implicit child abuser. In other ways,
Right,
and
right. Which just makes the whole fact that all his victims are children in the
yeah,
freaking movies creepier.
just so much more sinister. So all the parents get like band together, burn him
Makes the
down.
bathtub scene way creepier.
So much creepier.
Yeah.
But they track him down, they burn him alive, and now he's getting revenge on all those parents by killing their children. So that's the origin of the first movie. And then in like the second or third movie, they're like, oh, he has a mom. And you find out that he's the son of this nun. And he's the offspring of this. I'm going to, just like a trigger warning for a lot of really graphic stuff that is a part of this lore.
You've been warned.
Um, the nun, we used to work at this like whatever psych ward place, the whatever, and there's
Arkham Asylum.
yeah, literally, and they
I'm the Joker, baby. That was not. Just continue.
oh, what was funny. She talks about how she was. I'll be very gentle with the word. I'll mince words. Taken by all of these inmates because she got locked in the psych ward that was like just full of 100 psychopaths, and she was assaulted many, 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 many times. And he's the offspring of one of those psychos, and that's why he is the way he was when he was a person. And then in the fifth movie, or the fourth movie, they're trying to track down how that like whatever they're going into the origins of that, and so you're seeing like a lot of like visions of what's happening because she keeps dreaming about it. Um, in that movie, they replaced Patricia Arquette and don't say anything about it. They're just like a new blonde actress is the same character, the same person that can take people into their dreams, but she transfers her power to Lisa Wilcox's character, Alice, who just now has a new power to take people's dreams. So, whatever. Long story short, all of her friends get killed, just like every other movie. But she's able to absorb all of their powers. One of them, like one of the girls she's friends with, is like a weightlifter. Her boyfriend like does martial arts in his garage. And so at the end of the movie,
So she's like Peter from Heroes and just like a like,
that's literally what happens. Because at the end of the movie, um, she's in this dream temple place where she's confronting Freddy again, and she's like combining all the powers of all of her dead friends, and she's like kung fuing Freddy. It's so stupid, but it's like those moments where I'm like, okay, it's so dumb, it's really funny. It's actually really
no,
entertaining.
that's great. That's so campy. I love it.
It's so campy. And at one point, they I don't remember which. I think it might have been in the fifth movie in Dream Master. She keeps doing her thing. Well, three. I'm gonna give a. I think I said that one. I think it was like a 36 or something. Four. I'm gonna give probably like a 35. It was campy enough for me to like it a little more. Um, in Dream Master, it gets even more campy because she's like, I think it's that movie where she's like falling asleep and she's like, I just got a dream of like a really happy place, so he can't get me. And so she dreams that she's on a beach and she's like, oh, it worked. Except Freddy just shows up in sunglasses and he like pushes her down in quicksand. It's so stupid. And then she's like, um, she falls asleep in a movie theater and she goes into this diner where she works and in the theater dream, and she goes to the bar and it's her as an old woman serving her own food, and she gives her a pizza and Freddy shows up beside her and starts eating the pizza, except all the meatballs are people. It's so weird and dumb and goofy, but I actually like really really enjoyed it, so probably like 32.
Oh, they keep going up.
They keep going up. If they're stupid enough that I'm like, okay, I like it. The more dumb stuff you do, the more I like it.
That's great. You really got to buy in.
And it is very obvious that they're like trying to wink at the audience because the diner she works at is called the Crave Inn. Like they're not being sly about any of it. They're like, this
well, he literally, that's just, Wes Craven. Now he did not, he only directed the first one.
Yeah.
But that he set the tone for that. That's what they do. That's what these movies are. That's what the New Nightmare.
Yeah.
He's like a character in it. Like it's meta and stupid. And it's the girl from, that's what he does. Here's my question for you.
Yeah.
If you had to give the whole series so far a ranking, and just in terms of horror movies, so on a scale of like The Shining to Bye Bye Man, where would this fall in terms of horror franchises? Give it a 1 to 100. 1's the best, 100's the worst.
Horror franchises.
Horror, nor just movies, but you're ranking the franchise as a whole. So not just the first, not just one movie.
As a whole, I enjoy it way more than I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because 6, I keep getting so bored that I've had to start it over so many times. I'm probably going to give that one like a 55. Mm-hmm. No, 59.
Okay.
No, 60. I'm going to stick at 60.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't feel like doing averages for math right now and just
don't.
All these.
It's gut instinct. There's no math on this show. Gut instinct.
The good parts far outweigh the bad parts in bad movies. I'm going to give the franchise as a whole like a 25.
Nice.
Like it was very, I think, influential than people give it credit for, and that's why Wes Craven is a household name, and that character has so much longevity. And the campiness really does make the later movies enjoyable. It doesn't make them good. I don't think they're good
enjoyable.
Movies.
No, that's fine.
They're still enjoyable.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So I think overall, 25.
Nice. That's pretty good. Do you have any other thoughts on the franchise so far before I talk about a couple other things?
I remember watching the remake in high school, and it was all right. I've seen Freddy vs. Jason before, and I liked it, but I was probably like 8. I'm really excited for Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I think it's so meta and ridiculous, that idea, that I'm just so pumped to see it. I don't know what it's like, though, but good movies. I recommend watching them, and I recommend taking your time, because I think if you go too hard in the paint with those movies, you're going to get real tired of them.
Okay.
Because it's been like a week and a half since I've tried to watch those movies again. So, and I did all of them in a week. So I'm like,
yeah. Well, I haven't seen any but the first one, so I was not able to give any input on that. But I appreciate that, because I do want to watch them. And I kind of want to watch the Friday the 13th sequels as well, even though I don't even like the first one that much. I've never Halloween is one of my favorite movies, and I've never seen any of the sequels because they suck. That's not true, actually. Hold on.
We watched the Meadow.
We watched Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious.
It was so fun.
And then I've seen the new trilogy, the David Gordon Green remakes, Halloween, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends,
Yeah.
that just finished. And those are absolutely terrible.
Yes, they're
Absolutely terrible.
so
They
bad.
are some of the worst movies ever. And I am amazed that after he made those, he also got hired to make a reboot trilogy of The Exorcist, which is the stupidest thing ever. And the first one of his trilogy just came out. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did just recently. I've been
Yeah.
getting commercials for it.
Yeah, so I want to talk briefly about that. We'll do another episode on The Exorcist because I want to talk about that original movie. So I'm
Yeah.
going to save all my thoughts on that. But I love The Exorcist, and with caveats, of course. So I do love that original movie, and the new trilogy, from what I've seen of the David Gordon Green, and no surprise here, he clearly has no idea what the point of that movie is, or like
Yeah.
what makes it good, or anything. Because the new one's terrible, and we'll talk about that whenever I talk about The Exorcist. But there's a couple other movies I do want to talk about that I watched for Halloween that I want to briefly touch on before I have to go and we wrap up, because there's a couple other little creepy things that I watched. So one was I rewatched The Exorcist, and these other two, one was all right, and one I thought was going to be great, and it sucks. So the one that was all right is the one that just came out, Hulu original movie, No One Will Save You. You seen that?
No, I haven't.
So it's a horror movie about it's like a home invasion thriller, but with aliens. So there's an alien invasion, and then this woman is in her house. It's interesting.
Okay.
I would probably give it like a 43. I liked it, but as soon as I finished it, it all left my brain. There was nothing that memorable other than a few shots.
Yeah.
It had some cool ideas. Spoilers for this movie. There's an alien invasion, and they are trying to take over the human race. They like plant their egg inside you, and then it takes over your brain. Basically, you're like they use humans as incubators, and then can I spoil it?
Yeah, you can.
So she fights to live. So first of all, like all these kind of movies, it's way scarier at the beginning before they show the monster.
Yeah.
Like it was so well done. The first 20 minutes of this movie were so well done because you only see the creepy little aliens in the background. You barely see them at all. It's very scary. Mm-hmm. And then they show them, and it's like, okay, now it's just a monster movie, and she's just running. It's not that interesting.
Yeah.
And there's just all this subtext about like mistakes and forgiveness and your past and trauma. It's a whole lot of trauma stuff. And I think partly the reason it didn't stand out to me is because I feel like every horror movie now is like a trauma analogy. Like Smile was like a trauma analogy, or like they're all like that. And so it's whenever they all have the same themes, it's hard to get one to stand out unless it's really well done, And so this movie was good, but it was just like kind of generic because of that. And so, so yeah, 43. It ends with her ending up being the only human on Earth who doesn't get made into an incubator. And so like everyone else is controlled by the aliens, but they like touch her brain, the aliens, and they scan her past, and they're like, oh wow, she's had these traumatic experiences. I feel bad for her. So we're not going to put an egg in her. So she gets to be the only human with free will on Earth while everyone else is controlled by aliens. And she loves it because in her former life, she was shunned for something she did as a kid. It's a long story. There's a backstory. It was very weird, very bizarre movie. But it's worth a watch.
Okay.
So there you go. No One Will Save You. The other movie that I watched came out recently, and I thought I was going to love it. It came out this year, and that was Renfield.
I also watched Renfield.
You did? Let's talk about it. Give me your thoughts.
It was all right.
Yeah, me too.
I was in the same boat. I was like, I think it has everything that I think that I want from a movie. Is Nick Cage doing something ridiculous? Nicholas Holt's a great actor, so love to see him in some stuff. It's a funny premise of
it's hilarious premise.
Dracula's assistant is trying to get freedom.
It's familiar. Yeah, it's great.
And it was enjoyable enough for me to like. I liked it fine. I wasn't crazy about it, and I don't know that I'll give it another watch unless somebody happens to be watching it when I walk into the room.
So, yeah, the thing for me, it felt really flat because I thought I was going to love it. Yeah. And at first I did. The opening bits I loved.
Yeah.
but it had the problem of it did not buy into its premise enough.
Yeah.
It didn't take it far enough because the premise is ridiculous. And it's
Yeah.
supposed to be like ridiculous, tongue-in-cheek, over-the-top movie. That's what would make it good. And
Yeah.
it buys into that about 30% of the time.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it doesn't. And that's why it didn't work. So like Nicolas Cage, anytime he was on screen, was the best part of the movie. He
Yeah.
was hilarious. That character, Dracula, acting like gaslighting him. That's so funny.
It's
It's so
hilarious.
funny.
Yeah.
But he was only on screen for like a quarter of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a budget thing or I don't know or what, because you'd think you would utilize Nicolas Cage more, but he's not in the movie that much.
Yeah.
And then the parts where he's not, and then they had the over the top, ridiculous, gross violence, which was all fun.
Yeah.
And I loved that. And then in between all that stuff, it was really boring, generic, like drama horror movie almost. And it was like just borderline where you couldn't tell, like, is this tongue in cheek or is this just bad? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
some of the acting and the dialogue was so cheesy and on the nose. And I was like, it's not ridiculous enough for this to be clearly funny or like that they're in on the joke.
Yeah.
It was only ridiculous during maybe one in every 3 scenes. And then the rest of it was really boring. So that's why I was just like,
Yeah.
if you're going to make that movie, you got to go all out ridiculous buy in and don't try to treat it seriously at all. But it felt like in between the Nicolas Cage scenes, they were actually trying to take it seriously. And that's why it didn't work for me. So, I don't know what I'd give it, like somewhere between 55 and 65. It's somewhere in that range for me, just because, but the parts that were good were like in the 30s.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I probably won't watch it again. So,
I feel like I was pretty passive about watching it. Like I'd probably wind up giving it like a 44. Like I liked it enough. It's like they didn't impress me
for sure. You liked it. I get that. And I think part of it is like who you watch it with. Because if I was watching it by myself, I'd probably give it a higher ranking.
Yeah.
But I was watching it with people who definitely were not into it. So it affected things. And then, oh gosh, go ahead. There was something else I was going to say. It left me. It'll come back.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I wasn't crazy about in the movie, it's whenever I see an actor come back in a movie or TV show being typecast as whatever their most popular character was. And that was Ben Schwartz playing John Ralphio.
Oh yeah.
Just like a cartel version of John
not like
Ralphio.
that.
And I was like, I just don't like I don't know. That part fell flat and it felt like you could have used Liza more because he's really funny. If you ever watch like Middleditch and Schwartz where they have this long form improv, he's really good at like being comedic and he has great comedic timing. But I'm like, I felt like if you're going to have a really fun original idea like this, do it like you said, like follow through with that and don't just like recycle old material or old characters for the actor that you're bringing in.
Right.
Because it was just boring.
And speaking of Nicolas Cage, what they should have done, like what I thought this movie was going to be and what it felt like it was going for at times was that it was trying to be the same vein genre of comedy as the other Nicolas Cage movie, the Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent movie, like that. But that movie followed through on its premise and was so ridiculous and really funny the whole time and made use of its actors and was original in a way that was fun. Whereas this movie felt like it only halfway committed. And then it was like, well, we don't want to go that far or whatever. And I was like, no, this premise, you have to go completely goofy with it for it to work. And they didn't go goofy enough. So, yeah.
But, I feel like they were trying to play, like walk a fine line, and it didn't stand out in very many ways because of it. They played it really safe. So, it was okay. It was
it was okay. I agree.
Yep.
Gosh, I'm looking through my letterbox and there's a lot of other movies I can talk about that I've like horror movies I watched, but we can save them. We should do another episode if we have time before Halloween, which was 6 days. So probably not, to do like The Exorcist or just other horror stuff. But for now, I think that's a pretty solid little, pretty solid discussion of stuff we've watched. And we didn't go too in depth with anything, but what'd you expect?
Yeah. I don't know if you read the name of this podcast.
I actually haven't.
Oh.
Oh, were you talking to me?
Hello?
Hi.
Hey, Zeph, what are we talking about today?
So today we are talking about the 2008 masterpiece. Oh gosh, that joke doesn't work if I get the year wrong. Hold on. Never mind. Forget I said it. It was 2004. I'm not even going to tell you what it was.
You get it. I'm trying to read it in your glasses.
No, it's off the screen now. I was going to do Mean Girls and just start describing the plot in detail, but
that would have been funny.
It would have been a good bit if I only had got the year right.
There we go. Yeah, good horror movies. Good month for horror movies. I feel like I don't typically do that, where I try and watch a bunch of horror movies, and I'm glad I actually set aside time this month to actually hammer through some of them. And I like sticking to a series because it's just like keeps everything uniform.
But makes it easy, yeah. See, I last year I set aside way more time than I did this year.
Yeah.
I watched a ton of horror movies last year, and this year I just didn't know the time. But I'm gonna get a couple more in. Oh, that's one last thing I wanted to mention. Just hilarious. I'm halfway through Chucky, the first Child's Play.
Yeah.
I had to stop because I was watching it on like my lunch break, so I'm halfway through, and I just have to say the funniest thing about that movie is that in the beginning, Grima Wormtongue, Brad Dourif, Chucky, he's like a serial killer.
Yeah.
He gets chased into a child store, and that's the premise, is like his soul gets put in this doll. Well, I love that they were like, well, we have to get this serial killer's soul into this kid's toy somehow. How do we explain that? Like, is he going to get struck by lightning? Is it just going to like, oh, he dies and touches it and it mystically passes? And they're like, no, I think it needs to be clearer what's happening. And so for no reason, this petty criminal knows like Latin incantations and deep black magic. And he's like, as he's dying, he puts his hand on this doll and is like, Kalima, and like just chanting in Latin, and then clouds cover the store and lightning strikes and the whole store explodes. And the detective is there and sees it all happen. And then 2 days later, he doesn't believe them whenever they're telling him that this doll is supernatural. He's like, no, that's ridiculous. That could never happen. However, the seance that just happened at the children's store when it exploded was perfectly rational. It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it when it gets it's so ridiculous. You might as well just go all in. Like, it's a movie about a doll that murders people.
Literally, it's
ridiculous.
Yeah. It's great. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll let you know how that is when I finish it. But I'm having a good time so far.
Right on. I need to rewatch it. But.
Yeah.
All right, Zeph, is that all we have to talk about today?
I think so, because I do have to get going.
Cool.
So
fair enough.
That's all that time allows. But I appreciate you guys listening. And if you have called and left a voicemail, just know that we are going to respond to it. It's not in purgatory forever.
Yeah.
There's also a new feature, which you can still call the number 918-268-6337 to leave us a voicemail, which we will play on the show. Or you can just check the show notes of whatever podcast app you're on, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. And every single episode has a link right there in the description that you can click on and leave a voicemail. So, and you don't have to do anything. You just put in your name, leave a voicemail. It's very easy. It's right there. So please do that. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, and spend time with your family this holiday season.
Amen.
This Halloween season specifically.
Yeah. You know what's really scary?
What?